From the first second until the last, the 2023 Rugby World Cup was awesome. This is Man and Ball Sports. I'm Tim, I love rugby, and I went to France 5 times during the Rugby World Cup. Now that the dust has settled, I want to give a review of the tournament from the perspective of a fan. We couldn't have asked for a much better way to start than with France rekindling their rivalry with the All Blacks in Paris, showing the world how rugby can be played and winning emphatically in front of their home crowd. That was the first of 48 matches over 7 weeks in 9 cities. First up were the pool stages, always a festival of rugby, with matches almost every day for over a month. Now, as well as the matches between the big nations, I really enjoy watching teams that aren't on our screens as much. The ones that had to work their way through the qualifiers and repechage just to get to the tournament. They always put their heart and bodies on the line. Uruguay scared the life out of Italy with a massive first half performance before coming up just short, and it was really nice to see the connection that the players and the fans had after the match. In November last year, Portugal clawed their way into the World Cup in the final qualifier tournament, playing against USA, Hong Kong and Kenya. They were champions just for being at the tournament. A bunch of them don't even get paid to play rugby, they just love it that much. That wasn't enough for them. They battled back and forth with Fiji in their last group game to win in the dying seconds and go home to adoring crowds. Let's hope that we can see more of those teams in the future. Elsewhere, Tier 1 nations were beating absolute chunks out of each other. Scotland and Italy showed that they are still not contenders, and Australia capitulated under Eddie Jones. South Africa and Ireland put on probably the best game of the group stage, one of the most physical matches, one of the best matches I've ever seen, and I was just wincing watching and listening to some of those hits on TV. Now, for a while it did look as if head contacts and high tackles would take all of the headlines from the rugby, but the rulings seemed to get more relaxed as the tournament went on, and towards the final stages we didn't see this being a contentious issue anymore. Once we got into the knockout rounds, the matches continued to heat up. 6 of 8 knockout matches were within 1 score, and South Africa won all 3 of their knockout games by just 1 point. There was a bit of moaning going on about an uneven draw and how all the strong teams were on one side, but both of the finalists came from that side of the draw. You have to beat the best to be the best, so stop whining and just win your matches, I would say. I want to give a shout out to England. Despite not getting to the final and doing as well as last time, during that semi-final, they genuinely made me believe that we would win that match, and my belief kept growing until 78 minutes when Handré Pollard kicked that ball, a massive penalty, and left me absolutely staring into the abyss.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
I can only imagine the devastation that went through the hearts of Ireland and France fans, given that they had even bigger expectations and yet they ended up suffering similar fates. South Africa and New Zealand showed why they're the best rugby nations on the planet, both innovating in their own ways and leaving everyone else in the dust. The 6 forwards, 2 backs split, pioneered by South Africa in particular, could have a lasting impact on the game, and I expect we'll see a lot more of that in the future. Overall, the rugby in this tournament was fantastic. France really is a magnificent country to visit. I was lucky enough to go to the far reaches in Lille, Nice and Bordeaux, as well as Paris. It was really easy to get to all of the host cities with loads of flights, trains and transport options, loads of hotels available, lovely places, not too expensive. It was great. French cities always have an array of bars and restaurants. They have all these town squares with outdoor seating areas. They're just lovely places to go for a few days out watching rugby. And the cities on the coast, Bordeaux and Nice that I went to, were just amazing. Absolutely lucky to be there. Getting to and from the stadium was pretty straightforward, really. Every city had either subways or trams or buses. They had signs all over the place pointing you to the Rugby World Cup stadium, so you knew exactly where to go. Rarely took more than 20 minutes really to get to the stadium. At the start of the tournament, there were complaints of queues at the stadium, and people were saying that they weren't able to get in on time, that they missed the kickoff. After the first weekend or two, that seemed to be handled, and we didn't hear much more about that problem. I didn't experience it. So that's something that could have been improved a little bit, but it did get better as the tournament went on. A lot of those stadiums were actually football stadiums because they need the size, and the rugby stadiums just aren't as big, but they were all really good, even for rugby. And they were all surrounded by stalls selling food, drinks, and they were quite nice on the inside with plenty of bars, the seats were nice, all that kind of thing. Bordeaux Stadium was architecturally interesting, pretty cool place to go, but the Stade de France, I've never been there before, and on the inside it was really, really cool. They had these bright lights going all the way around the stadium. It just seemed like a massive showpiece, and being there at night with all the Irish fans, that was top notch. That was the best stadium that I went to, definitely. And after the matches as well, it was easy to get straight back to the city centre. The match I went to in Nice, they actually brought coaches that were completely free, and they were shipping everyone right back to the main touristy area with the bars and restaurants so that we could get on with our night, which was great. All of the other places, again, trams, subway were running fine, and it was just a good experience. No trouble at all, really. And I'm definitely going to go back and visit some of those places again, either to watch a top 14 match or just for a bit of fun and a holiday. Whether you are a long-time rugby player or brand new to the sport, I'm sure you will have heard the phrase, rugby is a game for ruffians played by gentlemen. And nowhere is that epitomised more than attending an international rugby match. You can walk up to anyone wearing a rugby top, pretty much anyone in the stadium, and just start talking to them about rugby, and they'll be happy that you're there talking to them. It doesn't matter if they're from the country that's your most bitter rival, if they're from your country. It doesn't even matter if they don't speak your language. Worst comes to worst, you can always, raise your drink and have a toast and just celebrate being at the Rugby World Cup with them. It's awesome. Everyone is in a good mood to be there, and the French public actually seemed really happy to have everyone visiting. They were in a really good mood as well. They were enjoying France doing well, enjoying the World Cup. I will always remember the aftermath of Fiji-Georgia in Bordeaux, when this full marching band kicked off the party inside the stadium after the game, and everyone was just going wild. And if you've ever wondered whether the Irish fans, live up to their reputation, if they're as much fun as they seem on the screen, yes, they are. Hours after the Ireland-Scotland match, there was still partying going on at these bars about 100 or 200 metres from the Stade de France, and that just kept going. I didn't even see the end of it. It was absolutely wild, really good times, everyone enjoying each other, all the Scottish fans drowning their sorrows, having a good time as well. The French fans all across the country love singing their songs. They have some really good songs. They like screaming them at you. Doesn't matter if you're in a nice open space in the stadium or if you're on the tram or the bus going to and from the match. They're going to be singing, they're going to be loud, they're going to be enjoying themselves. It was really, really nice to see and to meet all of these fans from all over the world. Each stadium had a unique cup, which had an outline of the stadium, some branding, and then the countries that were playing there during the tournament written on it. I haven't seen that before, and I thought it was a really nice touch. Basically, for €1, you were getting a nice little souvenir. I brought a bunch of them back with me, and I'll be using them for a long time, hopefully. If there's anyone here from World Rugby listening, thank you for a really good idea. I would say lean into it more, because there were people collecting loads of these cups, and I'm sure we would have traded in 10 or even 20 to bring home a really nice glass version that could look, you know, really nice when you're showing people that you've been to the World Cup, basically. After the game, you could go around and collect all the cups and build up a little tower and get the refund and basically fund your night out. So at one point, I think I managed to collect 20 or 25 cups in the stadium, and I thought that was pretty good until I met a German guy in the refund queue who had brought the cups back for his entire rugby team who were on tour that evening, and had given him that responsibility. So his tower was going up to the sky. But yeah, the cups, nice little souvenir, nice touch. Let's have more of that. So that was Rugby World Cup 2023. A great event, great rugby, great trips, great people. It was awesome. South Africa, once again victorious, becoming the first nation to win the Rugby World Cup 4 times, and no signs of them slowing down anytime soon. I had an amazing time, and I would do it all over again if I could. Viva la France!
C'est